everybody, welcome back to Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com and here on my YouTube channel. And today we're going to do another or a revised studio rack gear update. We rewired the racks this past weekend and rejiggered all of the order in which the gear is sitting in the racks to make the workflow a little bit easier. And I'm going to take you through that today. So just so you know, this is now the third time I'm recording this video. The first time we actually recorded it is when my good buddy and your friend, David SJ, was up here on the weekends. After we rewired everything, we quickly tried to set up and do a video, and we had a problem with the video and the audio, so I had to scrap that video. And now I'm redoing this today, so I apologize that you don't see our good friend David SJ in the video, but he's gonna be back here soon, and we're gonna do more videos together, so have no fear. He's coming back to the channel. So I wanna say thank you so much, Dave, for coming down and helping me with this project. He was instrumental in making all this work. And it's always good when you have a buddy that you can bring into the studio and bounce ideas off of and work together on. So he did a fabulous job. And I gotta say, thanks so much, Dave. I'm in your debt for helping me out, and I look forward to having you come back in the next few weeks. So again, before we get started and we walk through all the gear and I kind of show you what we did, make sure you like, share, subscribe. And again, if you're one of the 70% that YouTube tells me that you are not subscribed to the channel, but you're watching the videos, do me a huge favor if you'd be so kind and go ahead and hit that subscribe button today. So it helps me out and I really do appreciate it. Again, all the links in the description box below are there for the hybrid mixing courses I have out, where you get to see all this gear in action. Check those out, and also check out mixingmusicanalog.com. So before I take you over and we go up close and personal on all the gear and I show you the layout, let me tell you why we relayed everything out. So the reason why we relayed everything out was, as I was doing more and more mixing, I realized that, again, just having my hands on certain pieces of gear more than others and where it was physically located in the rack was becoming somewhat problematic, particularly the 500 series gear. We had it much lower physically in the racks, and as you may know, using 500 series gear is really awesome, but the problem is they're very small. The knobs are small, the printing on the gear is small, it's hard to see, and when you don't have it at eye level and you have to crouch down on the floor to use it, it's kind of a pain. So we wanted to get the racks up in the air more. And also I have a new rack that has been added to this rig, another 500 series rack, which is another reason why I had to make room for things. And lastly, we were getting rid of the SSL Fusion, which I talked about in a video a few weeks ago, and that came out of the rack. So all those things kind of made me say, okay, let's go ahead, let's reshuffle everything around. And at the same time, Dave did a great job behind the racks doing some better cable management. We were able to eliminate some cables and just dress things up and make things a little bit more efficient. And I'm really happy with the way this came out. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna move the camera closer to the racks. I'm gonna say right up front, sorry if the camera work isn't the greatest. It's on a tripod here, but I'm gonna try to get in and see if we can get this thing looking adjusted to where you can see it and everything will look good. So let's get this picked up and over here. And Uncle Dave is not the most professional videographer, but we're gonna try to make this as easy as we can. Okay, so let's start at the very top. Let's start at the top two racks here, and hopefully this will look good from a lighting perspective. Okay, so if we start at the top, left-hand side, we have, probably could point in the screen right there. We have our two distressors on the top left-hand side. Again, reason why I wanted to move the distressors up is even though the knobs are kind of big, I had them kind of low in the rack before, if you've seen some of the other rack updates, and I just wanted to move them up higher. Now, some of this too has to be with, we have three racks. We have, well, three racks on each side, right? So we have a 4-space up top, a 4-space in the center, a 4-space here, and then a 16-space down below, which I'll lower the camera in a minute. So some of this was, you know, filling the holes where you had a couple extra spaces and you needed to throw some gear in. So we put the distressors on top, which I like. Underneath that, which was really important to me to have, which was the Gain Audio Labs Empress EQ. That has a lot of fiddly little buttons and switches, and the printing is really small and it's hard to read. And if you don't have this at eye level, it's kind of a pain. So I wanted that up there. So that is in the first section here. Over to the right side, you'll see that we have 3 DBX 160As right here. And again, those were much lower in the rack. I had a pair of them. I recently picked up the third one, the top one. That one, this one up here, is a stock unit. It's not a modded unit. These two were modded by Revive Audio. We did a review on the channel about that. I picked up, David SJ actually gave me this one here. We traded this for a pair of speakers. And so now I actually, as I'm recording of this video, you'll see there's one empty space above that. I actually picked up another used one, a stock one, a fourth one to have two pairs of them on Reverb. It'll be here this week. I got it for like 260 or 70 bucks, which I thought was a great deal. So that's gonna go right here. That's gonna go up here. So that'll be 4 DBX 160As. I really love those things. Those things are awesome. For the money, they're great. I use them a lot on kick, snare. If I have now a second pair, maybe I'm gonna try them on maybe a drum bus or on some overheads or something. Really cool compressors, very, very affordable. Gotta love them. So that is the top two racks. The other thing I'll say before we even get to the patch bays, you may not notice it here, but on all the gear now, we have these little round stickers. And these little round stickers, if I come over here to the DBXs, those are just so I can number the gear. Instead of labeling the patch bay with the names of the gear, which is hard to read every time you move a piece of gear or take a piece of gear in or out or swap, sell a piece, bring a new piece in, you have to type out the labels for the patch bay. So now I just have everything numbered. So the patch bay just has numbers, no names. So now if a piece of gear comes in and out, I just change the sticker on the gear, which is what a lot of studios do. I'm just getting hip to that. So now if we move over here to I'll lower this a little bit. If we go down a level here, we'll move it down here. Okay, so I could probably move this in even a little bit closer so you can see a little bit better when we talk about the 500 stuff. So let's start over here. So on the left side, we have one of two Aphex 204s. We've done a review of this on the channel. So you can go check that out. Oh, and everything else that you've seen above, we have reviews on the channel for, by the way. Then we have our first 500 rack. The rack is made by West Audio. This is the Super Carrier. It's an 11 space rack. A lot of this gear you've already seen. Some of this gear, the reviews are on the channel. Some of them are in the workings. We have right here, from left to right, the Neve 542 Porticos, the tape emulators. Those things are fantastic. A review is coming soon. Next to that, we have the SPL Big, which I've done a review on a couple of weeks ago. That's an awesome, awesome box for 500 bucks. That's on my master bus, these two pieces, along with the Empress EQ up top. That's the master bus, and that is what replaced the SSL Fusion. Next to the SPL Big, we have the DBX 510, which is a subharmonic generator. Gonna do a review on that kind of soon. Next to that, we have our Trident 80B EQs. Review's already been done. You'll see that in a few weeks. Then we have two pairs of the SSL E-Series Dynamics. Again, there's been a review on the channel for those. So that's the first 500 rack. And where that is physically from a height standpoint is if I'm sitting in the chair at the console and I wheel up to the rack, it is just at eye level, which is exactly what I wanted, okay? So now if we move over to the left, move the rack over here, the tripod. Here is the second 500 rack. So again, we have our second Aphex 204. Again, so we have one here and one here. And now from left to right, this again is another West Audio Super Carrier 11 space. Our first one here is our SPL de-esser. Love this de-esser. There'll be a review coming soon. Next to that, we have the DBX 520 de-esser, which is something new that I picked up. I was gonna buy a second one of these SPLs, but these are like half the price. And I love the plug-in that Slate Digital did on this particular de-esser, so I wanted to try the hardware. So we'll do a review coming soon. And then two new pieces that I bought that I'm looking forward to trying are the SPL Transient Designers. Those are gonna be great. We'll be doing a review on those soon. Then we have 3 empty spaces here for future expansion. And then on the right side, these are temporarily here. These are the 2 West Audio stereo EQs. These are on loan. They have to go back to West Audio. I can't keep them, but I racked them up for demos. We have the Hyperion and the Prometheus stereo EQs. Again, we're gonna do a demo on them, but then they're gonna come out of the rack. Those are double wides, so those are gonna free up 4 more spaces. So we're gonna have 4, 5, 6, 7 open spaces in this rack for future expansion. Probably gonna get a couple of Neve EQs at one point, maybe a couple more API EQs. But we're gonna fill those sooner or later. Who knows, maybe I'll buy the Wes Audio ones from them, but I don't think that's what I need, but I'm interested to try them because all the Wes Audio gear is awesome, and you know I love Wes Audio. Okay, if we go one level beneath these, let's try to lower this a little bit. Okay, there we go. So now we're down a level. So we're gonna start here. We have our API 5500 EQ, which again is at eye level, pretty much, or just below eye level. That used to be much lower in the rack, and this is another piece of gear where everything is small, the buttons are kind of fiddly. I wanted this up higher, so we moved this up. Then we have our third 500 series rack. Again, this is another Wes Audio rack. This is the Titan. So I have 3 500 racks by Wes Audio, 2 Super Carriers and a Titan. The difference between the two is the Super Carrier is an 11 slot rack, the Titan's only a 10. However, the Titan, if you fill it with Wes Audio gear, which is all digitally controlled with a plug-in, you only have to run 1 USB cable out of the back of the Titan into your computer, and any Wes Audio gear that you put in this rack, you can control with the digital plug-in. If you put those Wes Audio pieces of gear, which we'll talk about in a minute, let's say in a Super Carrier, you can control it with a USB cable as well, but you have to plug it in on the front of the unit, pardon me, and each unit has to have its own separate USB cable. So what that means is that if you have, say, 4 pieces of Wes Audio gear, you'll need 4 USB cables, 4 USB ports on your computer, which is kind of a drag. When you're using the Titan, you don't have that problem. So I love the Wes Audio stuff. I love the racks are awesome. They're no noise. They just work beautifully. They're a little on the higher price side, but I just love them and they're just super reliable. So anyway, we start down here. We have the Wes Audio Dione VCA stereo bus compressor. Again, I think we did a review on the channel for this already. Then we have the Wes Audio RIA. This is their very mute compressor. No review yet, but it is coming soon. Then we have 2 of the audio-scape VA3As, which is the LA3A clone. Again, no review on the channel yet, but we will do one soon. I love those things. These things are super on electric guitar. Then we have an empty space here. So now we have 7 up here plus 1, 8 open spaces. And then we have the Neve AMS reverb, which again, I haven't done a review yet. Love it, use it on drums all the time. We'll do a review on that soon. Okay, let's move over here now to the patch bays. So the patch bays didn't move. They're in the same spot as they were before. The only difference is we kind of shuffled them around, a couple of them a little bit. So the top patch bay, and these are all Switchcraft. This is a 96 point. This handles all of the print track in and out. It handles all of the bus channels or the group channels on the Origin. You may not be able to see the printing all that well. Let me see, can you see that all that well? I probably should maybe focus in on that a little bit. Oh no, I think that'll be okay. Let's hope that that's gonna be okay, but just trust me. All the group channels are taking up most of this part of the patch bay. Then the reverbs for audio-scape and for the Neve AMS are patched in there, the stereo channels. The second patch bay down is a 64 point patch bay. That is all the insert points for the 32 long faders. The third patch bay down, that is just for the 3 500 racks. It's a 64 point patch bay, and we had exactly 64 points. We had a 10 space rack and 2 11 space racks. That's 32 points, 64 point patch bay, right? So we have that. So this patch bay here, which I labeled 500 rack, is just for the 500 series. And then lastly, we have another 96 point patch bay. That is for all the other gear in the racks. So the patch bay hasn't moved. Again, when you roll up to it in a chair, it's just about eye level, which is perfect. So it's easy to patch things in and out. And we do have a little bit more expansion for a few more pieces of gear, but we're pretty much running out, which is fine because I'm running out of rack space. The other thing I did here, which is new on this top patch bay, you probably can't see it, but in the center section here, these were empty points here. We took 8 of the points and we actually are running inserts to the short faders on the Origin. Okay, prior to that, this patch bay down here, as I said, is just for the long faders. We didn't insert anything on the short faders originally, but we used a bank of 8. The last 8 channels on the Origin, channels 25 to 32, those are gonna be reserved for parallel compression. So if I wanna, let's say, send a kick snare to a crush track, I could run that to say channel 25, and I can insert a hardware compressor or EQ or whatever we wanna do. We had a couple of extra D-sub cables laying around, so we thought it was probably a good idea to have, you know, to then have a way to insert compression on those short faders. So that's what we did there. So now if we move down, let me see if I could move this thing down a little bit. We're gonna move this down. Again, doing this all on the stand. We may have to eventually take this off the stand, but let me move this back towards the center of the rack. And I really should get a zoom lens. I have a prime fixed lens here, which is part of our problem. Hopefully this is gonna work for you guys. There we go, we can see the whole rack here, pretty much. And again, you've seen all of this before. None of this gear is real. Well, there's one new piece here we're gonna talk about in a minute. Let's see how that looks for you. Yeah, I think that's gonna look okay. Good enough for rock and roll, as they say. So, the first piece down we have on the left-hand side. Let me see if I can get something. Yeah, the left-hand side we have the audio-scape 260 VU, which is right here. That was originally up top. I moved that down because it's easy to control. Not a lot of buttons on it, easy to manipulate. Then beneath that we have the Pultec, the audio-scape Pultec. Beneath that we have the audio-scape V-Comp, and then beneath that we have the audio-scape Opto-Compressor, Opto-Comp, the LA2A. So that whole left side is nothing but audio-scape. Great. And then on the right side we have, starting at the bottom, we have the NG Bus Compressor by Wes Audio, which is great. Review's already been done on the channel. Review's been done for all the audio-scape too on the left-hand side. All that stuff has a review on the channel. Next piece right here, this is the Wes Audio NG76, which is their brand new digitally controlled 1176 compressor. Again, a review will be coming soon. If by the time you're watching this video, there may be one already, but there's one coming soon. Again, the reason why these are at the bottom of the rack, I use these on every single mix, is because all of those are digitally controlled with plugins, so I never have to put my hands on the gear. That's why they're all the way at the bottom. Right above that, we have the the audio-scape XL305 Reverb, which I absolutely love. Again, it's a set it and forget it. It's all controlled from the console, so I don't need to worry about that. Then beneath that, above that, we have the Bluey by Blackline Audio. Again, because they got big knobs, big VU meters, easy to see, they can be a little bit lower in the rack, where these were up higher. These were where the 500 series gear resides today. Then above the Bluey, we have the audio-scape 76D, above that, the 76F, and above that, the 76A. So we have all our 1176s right here. Got a lot of 1176s. Love them, use them on everything. Above that, we have the ART, the Trans Y, which is a stereo effect compressor by ART. Again, I use that a lot on background vocals. I've used it on a bunch of things, acoustic guitar, great little inexpensive compressor. Again, we had a one space available, so I tossed it back in there. And the Fusion, the SSL Fusion used to sit right here. This is where the SSL Fusion used to sit, and that is now gone and is for sale. And by the time you see this, probably sold. My guess is it will sell in probably a day or so. So that is the rack. We got plenty of gear here. Again, the Wes Audio NG76 is new. A couple of the 500 pieces are new, but we still have a little bit room for expansion, but we are running out of room. The only space we really have left in these racks is right here. We have two spaces right here that we've already pre-wired with signal and power that's sitting behind those plates. And really I'm reserving that for like when we get a piece of gear in to test. Someone sends me a piece of gear for us to demo, I can just slap it in there, quickly hook it up, patch it in, and we're ready to go. But everything else is pretty much full. Now that we got the DBX 160A compressor coming in that I talked about earlier, up top, whoops, let's get up top here. Again, that is going, like I said, that's gonna go, whoops, gotta raise that a little bit more. Again, sorry for the poor camera work here. One of these days I'm gonna get a nice zoom lens that I can zoom in and out. Where we're gonna put another DBX 160 right here. It's already been purchased, it's coming in, we'll have two pairs of those. But right now, again, like I've always said on this channel before, guys, once I fill this up, it's done. I'm not going higher, I'm not putting another rack in this room, I really don't have the space. And again, I'm trying to limit my options to where it's not like, a plugin browser where you open up a plugin browser and there's 300 sets of plugins you gotta look at every time you wanna do something. You gotta decide what you wanna use. A lot of what I'm buying now, the last few pieces, is really to fill the holes of things that some utility type tools and things that I just don't use on every mix but could be good from time to time. Things like de-essers, things like transient designers, subharmonic generators, things that you're not gonna use all the time, but they're cool little things. And again, maybe a pair of Neve EQs. So I'll have Trident EQs, some Neve EQs, maybe at one point, maybe another pair of APIs to go in the 500 rack. But that's really about it. I don't need any more compression. I have every style of compression imaginable. I don't use all this stuff on every single mix. So yeah, so this is where we are at this point now. We're pretty much done. Again, big thanks to Dave for helping me rewire this thing. I mean, it took us about 7 hours. But really, Dave disconnected everything in the back and rerouted everything, so the wiring is a lot cleaner, but there's just still a mountain full of cables. Anyone that does this stuff, for real and has all this much gear knows how much wires are involved. Oh, and the other thing I did here too, I guess I can show you this and then we'll wrap up this video. Let me just turn the rack instead of turning the camera, turn the whole tripod. We still have our trin off here. Again, that's probably super bright here, where we have the trin off right in here, above right here, the ST2 Pro. A lot of people, as I'm sitting here recording this video, they just came out with a new version of this called the Nova, which is, people think it's a lot cheaper. It's not a lot cheaper. Feature for feature, it's the same price, but they streamlined it, they updated the design, it's a lot lighter, it's more portable, but that trin off is the best thing I ever bought for this studio. So go check out the videos on that as well if you want to, oops, let me go the other way, if you want to learn more about that. So that is it for our studio rack update. Hope you found this stuff informative. Again, make sure, if you would, like, share, subscribe. It does help me tremendously. I can't tell you enough how much it really helps me, especially if you're one of the 70% of people who are not subscribed, but watch the videos. Please help me out and watch the videos. Also, again, if you want to learn about hybrid mixing, go to the links in the description box. Check out my hybrid mixing courses. Whether you have hardware or not, you're going to learn a ton from those 2 courses. Each one of them is over 5 hours in length to get all the multi-track files, so on and so forth. And again, all the links for everything that's in this video, all the gear that I purchased, with the exception of the audio-scape stuff, is all purchased for the most part at Sweetwater. And you can find that by using my affiliate link in the description box below. So let me know in the comments below if you have any videos you want to see. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you think I should put in the 500 racks with those 8 open slots. And until the next video, I've been Dave with Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com. Thank you everyone for watching me today, and I'll see you in the next video.